balanced, as all things should be. I hope they remember you.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Hitchell here, and welcome again to one of my movie reviews. This time, this is my spoiler review for Avengers Infinity War. Obviously, my non-spoiler review went up as soon as the movie came out, and here I am finally with my spoiler review of the movie, where I'm going to go into spoilers. So obviously, if you haven't seen the movie, you probably shouldn't watch this. But I think at this point, everyone who's wanted to see Infinity War really badly has seen it with all the money it's made, so you've probably already seen the movie, so that shouldn't really be a problem for this review. And yeah, I wanted to get this spoiler review out after I saw the movie a second time, and I finally did see the movie a second time yesterday on Saturday, last night. Got to see it in IMAX 3D, as I really wanted to see it because I saw it in 2D the first time, and thankfully I got to save IMAX 3D for the second time, so it gave me something to look forward to. And to my surprise, I think I actually did like the movie better a second time, or I was able to appreciate it more as a film the second time. Because the first time is when you see the movie the first time is when you get all that emotion out, seeing all the surprises and just having so much fun being in that theater. But it's the second time that you can really sort of appreciate sort of the nitty gritty details of the movie, the structure and all that stuff. And I thought the movie actually worked really well, and I think I actually did appreciate it more the second time I saw it. It was a big surprise to me just because I wasn't expecting that. I was just happy just to see the movie again because I didn't want to see this movie just once in theaters. Like I said, I really did enjoy it, maybe even more the second time. And as I said in my non-spoiler review, I think the thing that really pushes this movie to that great level is Thanos. A lot of the movie for me, was going to hinge on how good of a villain and character Thanos was. And he ended up not just being just a great villain, but a great character overall for three main reasons. One is the emotional side to him. Those layers that we saw to him in terms of mainly his relationship with Gamora was really sort of surprising to see just because he really does care for her as his own daughter, even though she's adopted. For whatever reason, whatever he saw in that little girl, he just really attached himself to, not in sort of a creepy way, but just sort of in a fatherly way, I'll put it that way. And those scenes ended up really working, especially the scene where he ends up sacrificing her, because you saw that he did not really want to do that at all. It actually was sort of funny, Gamora's reaction, her thinking that Thanos didn't love anyone, and in that moment that she realizes he did, and he throws it off the cliff. It was sort of unintentionally funny just because of Gamora's reaction, but it was still a great scene for Thanos as a character. So that was really good. So that's the first point that made him a great character, was his emotion. The second thing was that he actually did have sort of a reasoning logic behind what he was doing. His whole thing is sort of to make the world a better place. Let's wipe out half of the population, and that will make everyone sort of come together as sort of everyone is on like equal ground now, if you will, in terms of this new situation going on in the world, cataclysmic situation. And look, obviously I don't agree with it. But if you really squint, you can see what he's thinking of because it did somewhat work on his home world. And that's why he thinks it's such a good idea. He did it on Gamora's world. And it is nice that he does sort of have sort of an ethos to what he's doing, a real reason, besides just being evil just for the sake of being evil. Because I think that's what a lot of people thought going in with Thanos, that he was just going to be this guy, just power hungry, just wants to destroy the universe. And while he somewhat does, there is not destroy the universe, but sort of decimate the population, let's put it that way. But there is a reason for why he's doing that, so that made him really good. That was a really surprising side to him, that's why he wanted to do that stuff. So for there to be like a sort of political reason behind what he was doing, that was really cool also. And the third thing that made him a really good villain is that he just kicks a whole lot of ass. He wins every situation that he's in. And that's sort of a cool thing about a villain just being just this unstoppable force. I mean, right from the opening scene that takes place on the Asgardian ship, I mean, what he ends up doing to Hulk, oh my God. Like, that was so perfect just to establish how much ass Thanos could kick or how powerful he is. The fact that the Hulk, it was just nothing. He pulled out some big old street moves on the Hulk and just beat the Hulk like no one's ever been able to do. And as soon as I saw that happen the first time and the second time, I was like, oh my goodness. Because the first time it really catches you off guard when you see it. And then you watch it for a second time, the type of moves he was doing on the Hulk, it was just an incredible, just like display of fists, knees, and just street moves he was going on him. So that was a good job showing how powerful Thanos really was. And the fact that he ends up getting all these stones and he can just do whatever he wants with all of them, teleport, bend reality, the power stone, all of that stuff was really cool. So that made him a really good villain, just to show that this guy, it is not easy at all to take him down. He is not like any MCU villain we've seen before. And speaking of that, I ended up making a video after the movie release, ranking the MCU villains. And before Infinity War came out, Killmonger, who recently just came out in Black Panther, he was the #1 villain. But after I saw Infinity War, I do think Thanos is the best MCU villain so far because of those 3 elements that I mentioned. He was just so well done. And not only is he the best MCU villain, but and one of the just great villains of all time, period. I think he's earned that status. So that was really good. And going in the movie the second time, I just thought that one of my nitpicks was that the first time I saw it, that you saw in my non-spoiler review, was that I did feel that there was so much to juggle that it is a little overwhelming and maybe not everything gets the right amount of screen time maybe, in terms of maybe like Black Panther or Captain America or some stuff. But watching it the second time, I found that there was a lot better balance. It was almost a perfect, in terms of how much elements were in this movie, the movie did about as well as you can do balancing all these elements of these characters, the individual teams, the missions. All of it was done really, really well. And the editing, for the most part, of all the movie just put together was great. The pacing worked really well. You're never bored at all in this movie. I mean, how could you not bored? It would just be a crime against humanity if somehow you were bored in this movie, because there's nothing to be bored at. And everything was fit together so damn well. And just going through some of my favorite moments of the movie, I won't list them all, but some of the stuff that stood up to me, like I mentioned, that Thanos versus Hulk fight, that was absolutely amazing. I love that. Tony's Mark 50 suit, when he suits up for the first time, it was just like, oh my God. Because I remember the first time I saw it, I'm all like, why isn't he calling his suit? Where's the suit? Isn't it just going to do what it normally does? Everything since the post Mark 42 where it can just like fly onto him. But no, he's got that Black Panther technology where it just like materializes all around him, nanobots. And that was really cool. All of the stuff that he was doing with his suit, whether it was making hammers, increasing his fight ability with the rocket super jets or whatever, the wings, the little like repulsor blaster things that came out of his back the first time he suited up and took on Squidward. That was really cool. Just all the stuff with that suit was amazing. I love the first time we see Guardians, them singing a Rubber Man Band. I've had that song stuck in my head after I saw it the second time, because I forgot what song it was they were singing first time I saw it. But then when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, that song. And it's really catchy, and it just captures that spirit of the Guardians so well. And they were great in this movie. They got a whole lot more focus than I thought they were going in. So the Guardians were done really well in this movie also. And lots of great battles in this movie, but one battle that stood out to me as just like really good and emotional was Iron Man versus Thanos. That battle on Titan, where it's just one-on-one, where Thanos has sort of taken care of all of the team that was on Titan, except for Tony, and it's just an individual match for them. And at first, Thanos isn't able to use the gauntlet because Tony put like a sort of suit device repulsor thing that kept Thanos from clenching his fist. So it was a good like one-on-one battle between those two going on at first. It was really good, but eventually Thanos can sort of rip it off, but him and Tony are still going at it, and Tony's just trying to use all of his technology, his hammers, extra blasters, the wings, all that stuff, but Thanos is just like kicking the crap out of the suit, and he's losing nanobots, and Tony's just got to scramble more nanobots just to sort of cover himself up and still shoot weapons, but more nanobots are getting ripped off. And at that moment, he stabs Tony. That was really emotional, just because Tony is the heart of the MCU. He's the one that started it all, And he's the one that's had those demons of Thanos in his head ever since the first Avengers, which he mentioned in this movie when he was talking to Doctor Strange, with the scenes between Tony and Doctor Strange. Those are great as well. But yeah, to see Tony and Thanos come face to face, the main villain of the MCU and sort of the heart of the MCU, that was really good also. And that part where he stabs Tony, I just felt for him real good. So that was a great moment, or a great scene overall. But I think my absolute favorite moment in this movie, and I think the audience reactions can attest to this, that moment in the Wakanda battle where Thor, Rocket, and Groot all come down to Earth to save the day. The music, the shot of them on Earth was just so amazing. And I think what really helped this scene was the fact that it was the first time us seeing the Guardians on Earth. So yeah, we've seen Thor on Earth before, but the fact that now that the Guardians are involved, at least Rocket and Groot, the two sort of like, non-human, well, whatever, just them coming down to Earth was just so damn cool. And them charging into battle is just like, oh my God, and how much Thor's new hammer, Stormbreaker, that was so amazing. So that was my favorite moment in the movie. It was just so like cheer worthy. And it got big cheers the first time I saw it. It was so amazing. The second time I saw it, I could tell that it was a lot of the audience's second time watching it. So that's why you never get those kind of reactions the second or third weekends of a movie. That's why you always want to go the first time. But it's still an amazing moment. I still loved it. So that was great. And that moves us, speaking to the Wakanda battle, let's just go ahead and talk about the deaths, because I don't think anyone could have predicted that the movie was going to go this way with the characters they killed as a result of Thanos' finger snap. One snap, and half of the universe just goes, just like that, in terms of the people or beings anyway. And the list of people that he killed, sorry, I gotta read it down. Bucky, Falcon, Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, Star-Lord, Drax, Mantis, Groot. And, I'm missing the ones on Titan, which were Star-Lord, no, I did mention them. Yeah, I did, okay. I don't think I mentioned Spider-Man. Spider-Man, obviously, that was sort of the big one that went, in terms of how long it took his death to occur, him and Tony just sort of hugging before Spidey finally went out. And, that was like sort of a big, like, whoa. As soon as all of that started happening, it was just like, damn, they're really going for this. But I think the problem with this finger snap and all of these deaths that happen is that they're not fooling anybody. You can't fool anybody. Like, the moment Black Panther gets killed, you're sort of like, come on, y'all ain't fooling nobody. Y'all see how much money Black Panther made, and you just gonna kill him off like that? No. We all know there's a Black Panther 2, so that doesn't hold any weight. And then Spider-Man dying, it's like, who y'all fooling? Spider-Man Homecoming 2 comes out next year. So, here's the thing. In the context of this movie, it still was sad and really somber, just the way everything was done. But you can only help but feel so bad just because you know these characters, they're coming back. At least Black Panther and Spider-Man. Those were the two going in that I'm just like, there's no way you're going to kill these guys. One person who was going to be interesting coming back, in terms of people that died not as a result of the finger snap, Heimdall is definitely dead. Loki, I'm pretty sure is definitely dead. Although I've seen a theory that shows that maybe he was Bruce Banner while he was on Earth, but I don't really buy that at all. I think Loki, the way they did that scene, he's dead, and it would be fitting for his character to sort of die that way. That would sort of ruin it if they brought him back. Vision is definitely dead because of the way this thing was just, the stone was ripped out of him. The one that's going to be interesting that I think pretty sure they will bring back is Gamora, because they're doing a Guardians 3, and I just don't think you can do that without Gamora. She's just way too important. And the fact that she died as a result of sort of the Soul Stone ritual, if you will, they can bring her back somehow. I'm not exactly sure how, but I'm pretty sure they're going to do it, because they can't do Guardians 3 without Gamora. Especially the fact that it's the first time that we really see Star-Lord and Gamora's relationship heat up in this one. So they're definitely going to bring her back. But yeah, in terms of all these other characters, I mean, we can go ahead. Well, let's go and move to the post-credit scene, which of course is Nick Fury and Agent Hill. First of all, it's really sort of sad to see how reduced their roles have become, because they were such big characters through Avengers 1. Then you go to Winter Soldier, and they were still really important in Age of Ultron. And now you get to this. I mean, they're not that neither of them were in Civil War at all. They've been absent for so many movies, and now that they just show up for the post-credit scene in this one, it's like, wow. I guess those movie contracts really are a bitch, huh? But yeah, we finally see them at the post-credit scene when the whole Universal wipeout is happening. And once Hill goes, I'm like, oh, so now she's not going to be in Avengers 4 all either. And then Nick Fury, like, well, maybe Nick Fury can stick around. It's like, nope, mother. And then he just zaps away, deteriorates away. That was a cool final line for him to have. It was really funny, actually. Perfect Nick Fury line. But yeah, of course, he's calling Captain Marvel. So it's the big sort of teaser promotion for that film. And it's really brilliant because it sort of makes everyone sort of have to see Captain Marvel, which, I mean, it's a Marvel movie. People are going to see it anyway. But of course, he gives you extra reason to sort of look forward to it because she's going to play a big part in Avengers 4. The fact that Nick Fury is sort of calling on her to save the day. Now, where she's been all these years, because her movie takes place in the 90s, who knows? But it's definitely going to be interesting. It makes me really look forward to seeing what her movie's all about, just because some of the articles I've read recently, they're talking about her movie being a bigger game changer than Infinity War or Black Panther, which I'll have to see that to believe that, because both Black Panther and Infinity War are big game changers. I don't know if they're just talking out their ass, but if they're not, ooh, that movie's going to be something to see. So great promotion for that movie, even though it's really weird timing because that movie comes out in March, Captain Marvel, and then Infinity War comes out like the beginning of May, like one of those early May dates that the Marvel movies always have. So that's not really a large gap at all for between Captain Marvel and Infinity War. I mean, at least Black Panther had like about 3 months. This one's not very long at all, so that'll be interesting. But of course, we're all still going to see both, so it'll be cool and be sort of interesting how they're going to promote both of those films at the same time. And all leading into Avengers 4, there's going to be some real sacrifice. There's almost got to be, just because it's too symbolic for all the original Avengers to still be alive. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Hulk, Black Widow, and presumably Hawkeye, because he's absent in this movie. He's probably definitely going to be back in Avengers 4. And it's good. It's sort of good that they didn't put him in this one because it gives you something to sort of look forward to in Avengers 4, saying, hey, there's Hawkeye again. And hey, presumably there's Ant-Man, if Ant-Man's still alive, which I hopefully is, because I'd like to see him as part of the team again. Or just be an Avenger, because he wasn't really an Avenger in Civil War. So, yeah, the original Avengers coming back, there's got to be some real sacrifice, just because I think with all the stakes being so high as there is, Iron Man, Captain America, or Thor, you're going to have to kill them off. And I actually think they're probably, Captain America, I definitely think they'll kill off. Thor, I actually think they probably should, just because it's not that I don't like Thor, it's just that Thor has lost so much over the course of these movies, whether it's his family, dad, his mother, his brother, his whole world, the remains of his people. He's just lost so much that I think Thor, if anyone's willing to give like a real sacrifice, it would be Thor. And the Iron Man, of course, just because Iron Man, obviously Tony Stark, the heart of the MCU, maybe he's the one to make that sacrifice to do whatever needs necessary to finally bring the world sort of back, if you will. So between those three, there's definitely going to be some major sacrifice, and there has to be, because there needs to be a lasting impact from an event this big, the whole Infinity War saga, if you will, with Infinity War and whatever the hell Avengers 4 is going to be called. So all I'll say is that they better do that to really sort of drive home how big an event this is. And who ends up killing Thanos? That'll be interesting. And what else will be interesting is how much of the characters who were finger snapped at the end of Infinity War, how much are they going to be in Avengers 4? Who knows? Or if it's just going to focus on the original team, we'll have to see. If you've seen sort of the set photos for Avengers 4, you'll know that time travel is involved because we've seen set photos of the New York battle at the end of Avengers 1. So it's be interesting to see what kind of connection goes with that battle right there. What's so significant besides the fact that it was the first time the Avengers really teamed up. But it'll be interesting to see how they do that. So that'll be cool. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this spoiler review. Just my favorite moments, Thanos, the deaths, how it's going to play into the movies going forward with Captain Marvel, and interesting enough, Ant-Man and the Wasp, which takes place before Infinity War. It'll be interesting to see how that movie ends. And to sort of wrap everything up, in terms of my rankings of the MCU, like I said, I didn't want to be too emotional the first time I saw the movie, just because I'm all like, well, I don't want to jump to conclusions and say it's the best Marvel movie of all time, or even rank it in general, just because you can never do that off of first viewing. I remember when I saw Age of Ultron the first time, and I thought at the time, now Marvel's had a lot more movies since then, but at the time I thought it was the third best Marvel movie, behind Winter Soldier and Avengers 1. And in hindsight, it was more like either the sixth or seventh best Marvel movie. I still really like Age of Ultron. I think it's a good movie, but just a good movie, not great, as I would have thought maybe the first or even the second time I saw it. This movie, though, I'm a lot better about being emotional when I see a movie, and I actually think with how well it handled all of these elements, just the stakes, how great a villain you had, all the great character moments of seeing all your favorite heroes together, um, just the way it handled everything, the structure, the pacing. I don't think it's out of the question to call this the best Marvel movie, just because it did handle things so right. Now, maybe something like Winter Soldier is just better on just like your classic film level, but if someone were to tell me that they think this is the best Marvel movie, I can totally get with that, and maybe I'm somewhat thinking that right now, just because, in fact, I think I do feel that way right now, just because how well this movie handled all these elements. I mean, what more could you ask for in a movie? So I was very satisfied with this movie overall, and I'm gonna up my score in my non-spoiler review from the 8.5. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10, just because, yeah, I did think that on the film level, this really works very, very well indeed. And yeah, perfect setup for Avengers 4. And let's see how well Doctor Strange's plan presumably goes. So yeah. Oh, and one final thing. It is interesting. The Russo brothers, what an absolute gem these guys are, the directors of these movies, because they've directed my three favorite Marvel movies so far, which I guess now Infinity War, Winter Soldier, and Civil War. What they've done with these movies, absolutely fantastic. But enough rambling for now. That's my spoiler review of Avengers Infinity War. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Look forward to more reviews coming up and sort of Marvel stuff where I sort of put rankings of all the stuff in the cinematic universe. And I will see y'all around with another video.